The annual Patterson family reunion in Detroit was always a lavish event, a grand celebration of heritage and tradition. But this year, as I sat in the hotel's elegantly adorned conference room, gently rocking my 3-month-old daughter, Jamie, a strange unease settled over me. My husband, Noah, stood at the front, rehearsing his acceptance speech for the prestigious Legacy Award, a recognition of his dedication to family values. The irony of it all was almost unbearable, considering what I had discovered on his phone that very morning. My name is Shannon. At 31, I had believed I had everything: a strong marriage, a beautiful daughter, and a respected place within one of Detroit's most influential families. Noah, the golden boy of Patterson Industries, was following in his father's footsteps as vice president of operations. Together, we had been admired, the picture-perfect couple. And I had believed it too, right up until the moment his phone buzzed at breakfast. He had left it unattended on the hotel room desk while showering. Normally, I wouldn't have glanced at it, but the preview notification had caught my attention. Missing you already. Last night was incredible. The message was from someone named Kate P., executive assistant. My hands trembled as I picked up the phone, Jamie still sleeping in her carrier beside me. His passcode had remained unchanged, our wedding date, something he apparently hadn't thought to update. What I found inside turned my stomach. Hundreds of messages, intimate photos, even a meticulously planned getaway to the Bahamas, all with Kate Parker, his newest assistant. Now, as I watched him fine-tune his speech about loyalty and family values, a chilling calm settled over me. The conference room had already been set up for his presentation, complete with a large projector screen and the hotel's advanced video conferencing system. As an IT project manager, I was well-versed in how these systems operated. "Shannon, dear." My mother-in-law Patricia's voice cut through my thoughts. She approached with her perfectly styled hair and a polished smile that belonged on the cover of a high society magazine. "Is everything ready for Noah's speech? This award means the world to the family." "Almost," I replied smoothly, adjusting Jamie's blanket. "I just need to check the technical setup one last time." Patricia beamed. "You're always so thorough. We're truly blessed to have you in the family." If only she knew the truth about her son. But soon, Sheech and everyone else in this room would. I noticed that Kate's online status had just switched to available on Noah's phone. Right on schedule, she was likely preparing for their daily morning video call. With quiet precision, I rose from my seat and gently placed Jamie into her grandmother's eager arms. "Would you mind holding her for a moment? I need to assist Noah with the presentation setup." The conference room hummed with activity as extended family members took their seats. Noah's younger sister, Nicole, was busy adjusting the floral arrangements at the podium, while his father, Robert, CEO of Patterson Industries, stood nearby, reviewing his introduction speech. The scene was steeped in irony. Here they all were, meticulously preparing to honor Noah for his integrity. I approached the AV control panel, glancing over at Jamie, who was nestled safely in Patricia's arms, making soft, contented sounds. "Just double-checking the connections," I said to the hotel's technician with a pleasant smile as he finished the setup. I knew precisely how the system functioned, and more importantly, I knew how to ensure that any incoming video calls would automatically display on the main screen for the entire audience to see. Noah's phone vibrated in my hand once more. Another message from Kate. "Can't wait for our morning check-in, handsome. I have a surprise for you," smiling face with smiling eyes. I lifted my gaze toward my husband, who was across the room, warmly greeting elderly relatives with that same charming smile I had once adored. He had no idea that I had uncovered everything. He had no clue that I knew about their secret plans, how they had been scheming to use his family's business connections to launch their own company, laughing at the fact that I was too preoccupied with our newborn to notice. Robert's voice boomed across the room. 5 minutes until we begin. "Shannon, is everything set for the presentation?" I nodded, keeping my voice calm. "Almost perfect. I just need Noah's phone to connect for the slideshow." Noah approached, straightening his tie with practiced ease. "Here you go, honey," he said, handing me his phone without hesitation. "You're always better at handling the tech stuff." I connected his device to the system, fully aware that Kate's video call would be coming through any second. It was the same call that had taken place every morning at 10, while I had been occupied with pediatrician appointments, work meetings, and managing our home. "Everyone, please take your seats," Patricia called out, still cradling Jamie. "We're about to celebrate a truly special member of the Patterson family." As the lights dimmed slightly, Noah stepped up to the podium. His father followed, ready to begin his introduction, speaking about the importance of moral character and family legacy in both business and life. Seated in the front row beside Patricia and Jamie, I kept my eyes on the AV panel, where a small indicator light had just turned green. Right on schedule. Kate's incoming video call was about to be displayed for the entire room to see. Noah cleared his throat, readying himself to accept his award, completely oblivious to the fact that his perfectly curated world was about to collapse. "The Patterson name has always stood for integrity," Robert declared, his voice brimming with pride. "And no one embodies our values more than my son, Noah." As he spoke, the large screen behind them suddenly flickered to life. A familiar face appeared, Kate's. Her blonde hair was stylishly tousled, and she was dressed in something that was clearly inappropriate for a professional setting. The entire room went still. "Hey, handsome," she purred, completely unaware that her words were being broadcast to an audience. "I already miss you. That little meeting in your office this morning was nowhere near enough." Noah's face turned ashen. He spun around just in time to see the screen, then whipped back to face me, his expression frozen in horror. I met his gaze steadily, gently bouncing Jamie on my knee. "I thought we could go over those plans to separate from your father's company," Kate continued, adjusting her camera. "I've already reached out to some of Patterson Industries' clients, and they're very interested in what we have to offer." Patricia's hand shot to her mouth. Robert's expression hardened at the mention of his company. The entire room was eerily silent, except for Kate's voice and Jamie's quiet coos. "Your wife is obviously too occupied with the baby to notice anything," Kate laughed. "And once we get your family's main investors on board—" "Kate, stop," Noah finally choked out. She froze, suddenly taking in the background behind him. Her eyes widened as she registered the conference room, the family members, and me sitting in the front row with his daughter, completely composed. "Oh my God," she whispered, her face draining of color. The screen abruptly went black as she disconnected. The silence in the room was deafening. Robert was the first to break it. His voice was cold and clipped. "Son," he said, "my office." "Now." Noah turned to me desperately. "Shannon, I can explain." I didn't let him finish. "I think Kate explained everything quite thoroughly," I replied evenly. "Though I'm sure the board will be very interested in hearing more about your plans to steal company clients." Patricia was silently crying, still clutching Jamie's diaper bag. Around us, family members murmured in hushed tones, phones were pulled out, and decades of the Patterson reputation crumbled in real time. I stood, gathering Jamie's things. "I'll have my lawyer contact you," I told Noah, who looked like he had aged 10 years in the last few minutes. "I trust you understand, I'll be seeking full custody." As I walked out of the conference room with Jamie secure in my arms, I heard Robert addressing the stunned attendees. "I apologize for this unfortunate situation. The Legacy Award ceremony is, of course, postponed." I didn't look back. Sometimes, karma doesn't need intervention. It just needs the right stage to bring the truth to light. The next 48 hours were a whirlwind. I moved into a suite at a different hotel with Jamie, completely ignoring the endless flood of calls and messages from Noah. By Monday morning, the incident had already sent shockwaves through Detroit's business community. I sat in my lawyer's office, Jamie sleeping peacefully in her carrier, as Jessica Anderson laid out our strategy. "Patterson Industries' board has called an emergency meeting," she informed me, shuffling through documents. "Several clients have already come forward, confirming that Kate Parker approached them about transferring their business to a new venture." "So Noah wasn't just being unfaithful," I murmured, keeping my voice low so as not to wake Jamie. "He was actively plotting corporate espionage." Jessica nodded. "Robert Patterson called. He wants to meet with you privately before the board meeting." I wasn't surprised. Robert had built Patterson Industries from the ground up, turning it into one of the most respected companies in Detroit. This wasn't just a personal scandal anymore, it was a direct threat to the business itself. An hour later, I sat across from Robert in his corner office, Jamie still sleeping soundly beside me. Behind him, the city skyline stretched out, a view that Noah had once envisioned as his own. "Shannon," Robert began, looking more exhausted than I had ever seen him. "First, I want to apologize. What Noah and that woman did is unforgivable, both to you and to this company." I nodded, waiting. Robert Patterson hadn't built an empire by indulging in sentimentality. "We've frozen Noah's accounts and revoked his access," he continued. "Kate Parker has been terminated, and our legal team is preparing to take action against both of them. But there's another matter we need to discuss." He slid a folder across the desk. Inside were details of several major client accounts I had helped secure through my work in IT consulting. "These clients are threatening to leave," Robert stated. "Not because of the scandal, but because you were their primary technical contact. They trust you." I had spent years working with many of Patterson Industries' clients, modernizing their systems while Noah took all the credit. The irony of it all wasn't lost on me. "What exactly are you proposing?" I asked, though I already had an idea. Robert looked at me with a firm yet approving expression. "We'd like to offer you the position of Chief Technology Officer," he stated. "The board agrees that we need someone with your expertise, especially in light of recent events. Your integrity and technical skills are exactly what this company requires to move forward." I glanced at Jamie, thinking about her future and what this could mean for her. "And Noah?" I asked. Robert's expression turned cold. "His shares will be bought out at the lowest possible value, as per the company bylaws on ethical violations. He'll be fortunate if he avoids criminal charges for attempting to steal trade secrets." His voice hardened as he continued. "The Patterson name stands for something in the city. He seems to have forgotten that. You never did." Jamie stirred in her carrier, and I gently rocked her back to sleep. This opportunity wasn't just about financial security for her future, it was a chance to rebuild something valuable from the damage Noah had caused. "I'll need to have my lawyer review the contract," I said after a moment of thought. "And I want a seat on the board." For the first time since the reunion, Robert smiled. "Already included. We're not going to let another company take you, Shannon." Unlike my son, I know real talent when I see it. The next morning, the Detroit Business Journal broke the story. The headline read, "Patterson Industries announces new CTO amid family scandal." The article was professional, but made things clear. Noah's attempt at corporate espionage had failed, and under fresh leadership, the company was emerging even stronger. I was in my new office, reviewing resumes for my technical team, when Nicole, Noah's sister, appeared at the doorway. She shifted uncomfortably, her hands fidgeting at her sides. "I just saw Noah in the lobby," she said hesitantly. "He's trying to get past security. Says he needs to talk to Dad about his shares." I didn't look up from the resume I was scanning. That's not my concern anymore. Security knows what to do. Nicole stepped inside, her eyes drifting toward Jamie, who was sound asleep in the portable crib beside my desk. "He looks terrible, Shannon," she murmured. "Kate apparently took off with most of their money. That trip to the Bahamas they were planning? She went without him and emptied their joint account before she left." I made a note on a promising candidate's application before responding. "Karma has an interesting way of working itself out," I said matter-of-factly. "Did you need something specific, Nicole?" "I have a board meeting in half an hour." She sank into the chair across from me, shaking her head in disbelief. I can't believe he threw everything away. The family name, his marriage, his relationship with Jamie. Before I could respond, a commotion erupted in the hallway. Noah's voice carried through the open office door. "I have every right to be here. This is my family's company." I pressed the intercom button on my desk. "Security, please escort Mr. Patterson from the building." Then, turning to Nicole, I added, "And you might want to remind your brother that the restraining order applies to this office as well." Nicole sighed, nodding slowly before leaving. From my window, I watched as security led Noah out to the parking lot. His once immaculate suit was now wrinkled, his usual air of confidence completely gone. A notification buzzed on my phone. It was a text from Jessica, my lawyer. Kate Parker spotted in Miami. Local authorities notified about corporate theft charges. I muted my phone just as Robert entered, holding a stack of files. Are you ready for the board meeting? We're announcing the new cybersecurity division today. Just finished reviewing candidates for the team, I replied, organizing my materials. Also, Noah was here. Robert's expression darkened. I saw. The board is voting this afternoon to officially remove him as a shareholder. His little scheme with Ms. Parker violated every clause in his contract. As we made our way to the boardroom, employees nodded respectfully as we passed. Many of them were my new hires, young, ambitious professionals eager to modernize Patterson Industries. In just 3 weeks, we had already launched 2 digital initiatives, attracting major clients. Robert paused outside the boardroom. Shannon, I know running into Noah like that can't be easy. If you need some time. Adjusting Jamie's carrier on my arm, I shook my head. What I need is to focus on moving this company forward. Noah and Kate's mess isn't my problem anymore. Inside, the board members were already seated. These were the same people who once dismissed me as nothing more than Noah's wife. Now, they looked to me for leadership. Let's begin, I said as I took my seat at the table. We have a company to run. Exactly 1 month after the family reunion, the quarterly investors meeting took place. I stood at the podium, presenting our new technology initiatives to a packed conference room, the very same room where Noah's deception had been exposed. Our cybersecurity division has already secured contracts with 3 major financial institutions, I explained, gesturing toward the growth charts displayed behind me. Patterson Industries is positioned to become a leader in financial technology protection. At the back of the room, a television was on, playing silently on a local news channel. I noticed some board members glancing at it during my presentation. When I turned to switch slides, I saw why. On the screen, Kate Parker was being led into a Miami courthouse, handcuffed. Without hesitation, I continued my presentation. Our projections for the second quarter indicate a 40% increase in revenue within the tech sector. Later, in my office, Robert filled me in on the situation. She attempted to sell proprietary information to one of our competitors. Luckily for us, they have higher ethical standards than she does and contacted us immediately. As I sorted through reports on my desk, I glanced at Jamie, who was playing with her toys in the corner of the office. And Noah? I asked. Robert sighed, still insisting he had no knowledge of her attempts to steal company secrets. However, the evidence strongly suggests otherwise. He handed me a folder. The FBI found these at Kate's apartment. Inside were extensive notes detailing Patterson Industries' client information, including confidential data that only Noah would have had access to. There were also emails outlining a plan to launch a rival company using stolen data and business connections. Robert continued, according to the board's legal team, he's facing serious legal repercussions, both civil and criminal. I closed the folder. That's no longer my concern. Have you reviewed the proposal from the tech startup in Singapore? Before Robert could respond, my assistant entered the room. Mrs. Patterson, she caught herself and quickly corrected, Ms. Kennedy, my apologies. The developers are ready for the system test. Thank you, Evelyn. I stood, gathering my tablet. Robert, let's discuss the Singapore deal over dinner. Patricia is still watching Jamie tonight, right? He nodded, his expression softening as he looked at his granddaughter. She's the only good thing that came out of all this. As I made my way to the development floor, I passed the company's wall of framed photographs. The old image of Noah and me at the previous year's charity gala had been replaced. In its place was a picture of me speaking at a technology conference, announcing Patterson Industries' shift toward digital transformation. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Former executive assistant pleads guilty to corporate espionage. Faces up to 15 years. Another notification followed, this one from Noah's lawyer, attempting yet again to negotiate terms regarding his shares in the company. Without a second thought, I archived both messages. The development team was waiting. There was real work to do. The future of the company wouldn't build itself. I stepped into the conference room filled with eager young developers. "All right, team," I said with confidence. "Show me what you've got." A year had passed since the disastrous family reunion. I stood in my office, gazing out over downtown Detroit, while Jamie sat at her small desk beside mine, stacking blocks with focused precision. At just 2 years old, she already displayed an innate knack for patterns and sequences, proof that she had inherited her mother's analytical mind. The latest edition of the Detroit Business Journal lay on my desk, its headline reading, "Patterson Industries reports record growth under new leadership." The article highlighted our company's successful expansion into cybersecurity and international markets. Our Singapore office had not only met expectations, but surpassed all projections. A message popped up on my phone: "Jessica, my lawyer. Noah's final appeal denied. Full custody remains with you. His prison sentence begins next month." I set the phone aside, focusing on what truly mattered. The development team was putting the final touches on an advanced banking security system, and I had a board meeting to prepare for. From the doorway, Evelyn called out, "Ms. Kennedy, the new tech team from Singapore is ready for their video conference." "Thank you, Evelyn." A small smile formed as I considered the irony. This was the very same conference system that had exposed Noah and Kate's betrayal a year ago. Now, it was being used to drive the company's global expansion. Jamie looked up from her blocks and waved at the familiar faces on the screen. These were the people who mattered now: my team, my daughter, our future. Sometimes, the best form of retribution isn't about getting even. It's about moving forward and building something far greater than what was lost. The day Noah reported to prison, I was delivering the keynote speech at Detroit's Women in Technology Summit. Standing at the podium, I scanned the audience, many of them aspiring female tech leaders, some of whom had recently joined Patterson Industries. "Success isn't built on shortcuts or deception," I said, thinking back to how drastically things had diverged from Noah and Kate's schemes. "It's built on innovation, integrity, and the courage to keep moving forward, even when others try to hold you back." After the speech, I stayed behind to answer questions from young women eager to carve out their own paths in the industry. That was when I received a final update from Robert. Kate had been sentenced to 12 years for corporate espionage and fraud. The money she had stolen was long gone, squandered on luxury vacations in tropical destinations before her arrest. That evening, when I arrived at Patricia's house to pick up Jamie, my former mother-in-law embraced me tightly. "You've done more for the Patterson name than Noah ever did," she said, watching as Jamie eagerly demonstrated a new coding game on her tablet. "You turned a scandal into a success." Driving home to our new house in the historic district, I reflected on the past year. Under my leadership, Patterson Industries had seen its value double, a testament to our remarkable growth. Our cybersecurity division was not just thriving, it was reshaping the industry, setting new standards in innovation and protection. Meanwhile, Jamie was growing up in an environment where integrity mattered more than appearances, learning that true character outweighed mere perception. Life's greatest betrayals often pave the way for unexpected opportunities. The key is having the strength to endure the fire and the wisdom to rebuild something even greater from its remnants.